Hello, LinkedIn, and hello, recruitment community. My name is Christy Perrott. I'm the founder and chief thriver of Thrive Recruitment Marketing. And I'm bringing to you, I hope I hope you've seen and you're excited about the topic, or maybe not excited about the topic. It's not a great thing that's happening, but we're bringing the experts to decode what's going on out there and how, as a recruitment business, how as an SME business, the new sender rules around Google and Yahoo are going to affect your business. So I'm joined here today by Adam Oldfield, the CEO of Force24, along with Harry Oakley, Marketing Automation Manager at Thrive. So let's kick into it, guys. What's going on? High level, what are the new rules? What's brought us here, and why is this a big deal for the industry?
Okay, do you want me to take that one, guys?
Go for it.
Yeah. So firstly, Google and Yahoo are the main instigators here. Google and Yahoo are acting independently, but following a similar sort of motion, if you like. First thing is and the other thing to note is Microsoft is watching very closely and is likely to just follow suit, which means whatever happens here is likely to be across the whole email sphere by the sort of middle of this year, I should imagine. So what it's basically saying is no authentication, no entry. That's a really easy one. And that's basically saying, look, we're going to be really aggressive on weeding out anybody that's trying to pretend to, I don't know if you guys get this, right? But any new starter joins our organization, they immediately get an email from this scammer, which is like, oh, I need you to immediately authorize a payment for me, or something like that. So that kind of thing goes away, and that is not possible at the moment. It's relying on sort of spam filtering rules where we can be more aggressive. So no authentication, no entry. Simple fact. I love that. I think it's really important. The next thing is around complaint rates, and you will have seen this one, and it's 3 emails in 1,000. So 3 emails in 1,000 complain about your email as being spam by marking it as spam. Get out. That's it. You're not allowed in anymore. So that's a really big issue, because that's such a small number. And one of the things that we see quite often in this industry, because we're working in a sort of fairly unique hybrid of B2B to C sort of audience type, we see that quite often we're not paying enough attention to our complaint rates. And actually most businesses are sort of hovering around the 0.4, 0.5%, which would cause a problem. So they're the basics. There's loads more, but one click on subscribe, better improvement and headers, blah, 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 whatever. But that's techie stuff. This is the bits that really you can focus on.
So what's that impact then? Let's take that same scenario and let's play it into, for recruitment agencies specifically. We have candidates, we have clients. What's the worst case scenario that could happen? Okay, so
worst case scenario is it's far worse than you could ever imagine. But it's all fixable. So essentially, in what could happen is you become your name is included on a block list, and a block list it's slightly different to a blacklist, but a block list would be thou shalt not pass, and it's imagine that one of your consultants has gone away and he's caused this problem. Do you like the way I said he there? He's caused this problem. They've caused this problem. They've caused this problem, and now guess what? The directors can't email their mates who are using Gmail anymore, and 40% of their customers, their prospects, aren't allowed to receive their emails anymore because of that. Now, it's not just the person that's caused the problem; it's everybody communicating on that domain. That's the challenge. So it's pretty bad.
If we sort of unpack that in terms of the wider business, if you think about, if you're a recruitment, if you're a big recruitment agency and they say you're managing something like payroll and the contracts and things like that, you can't deliver that over email. If you can't deliver to Gmail, candidates on Gmail, can't deliver payroll, can't deliver contracts, can't deliver invoices. It's like all this sort of the operations of a business is centered so much around communicating over email, and all of a sudden you can't communicate to what, like 40% of your clients and 30% of your candidates, then the impact is just catastrophic, really, isn't it?
Harry, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's actually probably the real operational challenge that everybody is going to face. You end up on this list, it's a problem, because the only option you've got there is diverting everything to text messages, direct mail, and phone calls for everybody that's on that on those Google networks. So that's it. Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think our businesses, our industry as well, has really relied on that, that one-to-one, or in these cases, one-to-many consultant emails, and I've seen, again, over my 20 years, there'll be these e-shops that are going out, and the mark of success at desk level is, oh, I've sent out an e-shop to 5,000 people. I got one job order from it. Boom, that was a success. I'm going to keep doing it because they only need one, at that very basic level. They only need that one, and boom, that's proven successful. And that's a pretty major behavior change that we're going to need to look at.
Do you know this? That is so interesting again that you say that. It's throwing off mud at the wall. Some of it will stick mentality, but it goes deeper than that. I've seen people over the years come to me and say, "Oh, you know what? I put a spelling mistake in my subject lines." We're like, "What?" Oh yeah, 3 years ago, basically, it's this guy that he saw the spelling mistake and he told us about it, and we managed to turn him around, and now he's our biggest customer.
Oh,
that's a true story, by the way. That is a true story. I'm not going to name any names, but the point is, right, that I see this quite often is the fact that because one deal can make the difference, we sometimes latch onto the thing that made the reality is nothing to do with that spelling mistake. Nothing to do with that spelling mistake. It was all to do with how the problem was handled, and that's what the person fell in love with, and how we then treated him like a person, not a. And so where you're saying that, I think that the whole principle behind this is, marketeers within recruitment businesses do not pay any money to Google or Yahoo ever. You don't. It's free. It's just a free service. So now the people that do pay, on the other hand, are the people on the other side of the email, the inbox owners, and they're the ones that pay the money. They either pay the money through their attention, the adverts that we see, and so they're monetizing our attention, or they pay the money through a subscription fee, like with Microsoft Office 365, whatever it may be. So we're the customers, not you, the marketers. So what they're doing is they're saying, well, look, we've got no obligation towards you. So we're just going to go tighter and tighter. And if you think it's okay to throw mud at the wall, cost our servers CPU cycles for no good reason, then that's not good enough. So they're really pushing this direction of saying, look, we're not your segmentation engine anymore. This is not my problem. This is your problem to fix. Less is more. And the other thing that I'm really passionate about, Harry, you'll be able to get on board with this, and Christy, so will you. I get too many crap emails. And that really, really, and it deep. So imagine, right, a world when every one of us out there has got AI writing our emails for us, AI finding new people to send messages to, AI, and I'm literally doing nothing other than turning the volume up. What's that doing to me, the recipient? It's meaning that all of a sudden, and bearing in mind, my attention's not getting any bigger. You're not going to place me in more jobs because I can only be in one at any one time. Yeah, I might change more often, but
it's going to turn behaviors to turn people off. That's what's going to happen. It's going to do the opposite.
The channel that we lean on now for payroll, the channel that we lean on now for essential communications, is just going to get to a point where it's not usable, or the restrictions that we have within it are so tight we cannot do anything. Like WhatsApp. You try and mail shot over WhatsApp. Good luck with that one. See how that one goes. You've literally got one shot, and if you try and put any commercial messages in there, that's it. Brilliant. I've just seen an amazing question come through.
Go for it, Adam.
What does that mean for automated workflows? Well, look, I'm the CEO of an automation platform, so I'm all about workflows. Automation should be more about being more personal. It should be about being more one-to-one, but at a larger scale than me just being one-to-one. And Harry, you get behind this. It's like, it's not about me just scaling up. It's about me being more personal, using that automation to find out more about you, be more personal, and decide, more importantly, when not to send to you. So I think this is a really healthy and really important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry, a lot of them. Example, you've been targeted quite recently as a candidate, which was an obvious workflow that came through. Tell us about
I got an email over December. I got 7 emails from a recruiter in the space of 3 weeks. 2 emails on one day, They looked at HTML designed emails, so they were automated. He didn't write these himself. But the really interesting bit is they got my company wrong, they got my location wrong, they got my title wrong. The only thing they got wrong was my first name. And he sent me 7 emails, 2 emails, 2 days before Christmas. And I think the bit that this really highlights is this all comes down to sort of the quality of the data, and the data segmentation is just so key for getting this right and navigating these rules. The data sits at the center of everything. That was just a really great example.
Do you know, and Harry, here's your point, and this is to Alex's point as well. What does this mean for automated workflows? Email automation or marketing automation is 90% about segmentation. That is, segmentation should be fully automated. The output channel, i.e. email, WhatsApp, text message, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, is just a sort of, that's one of many, but it's all sort of pinned towards, we think it's all about email. No, it's actually about segmentation. It's about consuming data. It's about understanding people. It's about realizing when to use which channel at its best. And I think that's really, really important. And Harry, your point there, I love it. So firstly, the data was all bad, right? It was all bad. It's really hard. So why is that okay? Why is it okay? Surely if I'm emailing you, and let's imagine I was paying for that as an advert. Let's imagine for each email, it was £5. It was £5 to send out that email. Do you know what we'd do? We'd have our consultants go up and just check LinkedIn, or we'd use some sort of LinkedIn automation to make sure that it is you and that's your current whatever. So now, but the reality of it is imagine if I get blocked now. I tell you now, it's going to cost you more than £5, more than £5 to fix those problems. So it's because we don't pay, we're not respecting it. And because we don't respect it, the ESPs are tightening the controls until we respect it. And we'll either pay through a catastrophe, or we'll pay for it by getting ahead of the game. A stitch in time saves 9 styly.
So there's some really good questions coming through. I know a lot of people have a lot of, there's scenarios that they're trying to play out. I'm going to come back to them in a second. Let me just go back on the segmentation piece, because segmentation is a lot more than geography, title, salary, etc. Go, Harry.
I think that's the mistake a lot of people think, is that the segmentation is purely demographic, firmographic data points, but it's really much more than that. It's real about behavior, it's about engagement. So it's not just let's get every candidate in Birmingham. It's let's get every candidate in Birmingham who has visited the website in the last 3 months, who has opened an email in the last 4 weeks. And that part of segmentation is missing from a lot of people's workflows and campaigns, and that is really that's the bit that's going to get you the relevancy and the intent-driven email stuff right.
Harry, I've got an example. Will you indulge me on this for a moment? Because I think this really lands this point beautifully. So I call it the restaurant analogy, okay? And the restaurant analogy says, right, Harry, I'm the guy behind the counter of a restaurant, right? And you walk into my restaurant, you walk through my door. What's the one question you want me to ask a new customer walking through the door to be? Do you want a table? Or you got a booking? You'd agree, right? That's one or two questions. So Harry, would you like a haircut? Isn't going to cut it. There's literally no chance. It's not going to work. Now, so at that point in time, there is a single question or 2 questions maybe, which will have a 100% chance of success. Now, Harry, I then take you. I say, come on, Harry, sit down. There you go. Sit down. You sat at the table now. Now, what question is it? You're in the restaurant. You sat down at the restaurant. Would you like a drink? Now, it's funny how would you like a drink has now the 100% chance of success. Would you like a table goes to 0. So as you're saying there, Harry, segmentation is my way of moving somebody along a theoretical pipe. And when I talk about pipe, a lot of people automatically think it's things like, we've spoken to him on the phone, or he's been placed, or he's got an interview. And yeah, it's all that stuff, but it goes way higher than that. As you said, Harry, it's like, how many times has he been to our website in the last 30 days? How many emails has he opened in the last 10 days? What did he click on when he did this? Has he interacted with any of our social media posts? Blah, 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 blah. All of this sort of stuff says, right, the killer question for people in that category is, would you like to see the menu, sir? And I get a 100% chance.
Well, you just talked about solving somebody's pain point. So in order to solve it, you have to know what the pain point is at the different stages of their journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing I love about automation and the tech, and we'll talk about Force specifically in this case, is the data shows you exactly what their intent is, exactly what their pain points are. You can see exactly how they're behaving, or I guess all the content, what's social, what's linked to email, the website, exactly. And all of that feeds into the message you're going to send next.
Correct. And recognizing the other point is, if I was to say to you, right, okay, do you want to go to the pub? And you've probably heard me give this analogy. Do you want to go to the pub? I don't overburden that message with which pub, who's going, what time, what the benefits are, blah 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 blah, because I recognize I'm in a conversation with you. An email needs to be seen a little bit more like the conversation. So I often say I've got to send more to less people, less people more often. That's less, more. And so the first question is, would you like to go to the pub? Right. And then the conversation will ensue who's going to come to the pub. I'll buy you a pint when we get to the pub. And these are all subsequent emails. Whereas what a lot of marketeers try to do is say, boom. And that would feel, if it was a real life thing, it would feel really bad. Now, this talks to some of those complaint issues. So we're talking, going back to the whole Yahoo debacle. And this talks about that complaint issue, because one of the reasons that most people sort of cite as being, actually hitting that complaint button is a confusing message. And when we talk about confusing, it's not relevant. It's not for me. It's confusing. I don't understand it. Now, the segmentation, but then there's also the clarity of the message. And again, recognizing that any one email, the job is to just scratch the attention. So I just click and have a quick look. That's it. There's no selling. There's no convincing. It's just, would you like to go for a pint? Go on, I'll have a look. Oh, it's Wednesday next week, and it's this, it's that, it's that. That's it. So Google is basically saying, just like Microsoft has been saying this for a long time, Microsoft have been saying 10 words, one button, guys, 10 words, one button. If you're going to use email, you should be able to convey the message in 10 words with one button. Now, there are lots of things that break that. I get that. But if I'm using a mass message, if I can't say it in 10 words, it's too complicated. And you're going to get complaints. You're going to get unsubscribes. You're going to get all of these things. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And that happens through segmentation by being really specific. I'll let somebody else talk for a bit.
Well, let's go on to some of the questions that are coming through, because this 5,000 number is, kind of having people scratching their heads. So let's talk through that. What is the 5,000 a day recommendation? What does it mean?
So I think this one, go on, so Adam. Okay, well, I think this one's interesting, because the 5,000 emails from your domain per day. One, I think people misunderestimate how little a number that is, especially for a recruitment agency that's got to say 20 or 30 consultants. Like, that number it's not just 5,000 marketing emails, 5,000 emails from the whole domain. So that is a very easily achievable number. But the other part about this, which I think people sort of miss the point, it's not, okay, I think I send less than 5,000, I'm going to ignore these rules. It's email best practice needs to be improved across the board, and whether you hit 5,000 or not, it's sort of really irrelevant. So especially if you're a scaling business and you can hit 5,000 in 6 months and have the terrible practices already in place, and as soon as you do, you're going to tank it at that point. So I mean, that's my opinion on the 5,000 a day.
I mean, Harry, I think the other point about that is the fact that that's just an arbitrary guidance number. And there is I think what this is doing is it's just sort of setting a line in the sand to differentiate between me and a company of sales guys that's sending out those one-to-ones through Outlook, and me that's using, you know, bullhorn automation or any of the sort of consultant automation things to just blast. And so when Microsoft will come to it, I know they'll come to the table with a totally different stance. And they will be like, no, I don't care how many you're sending. If you mess with us, we're going to mess with you. And they're really aggressive in that way. So Google have perhaps been a little bit more forgiving, but I think that'll change over time.
Adam, do you think, Adam, that there's a chance that we're going to see a lot more competition between the big email providers on sort of these spam-free, most compliant inboxes? Because we think about Google's totally user-centric. So Google's trying to deliver the best inbox experience for its Google users, right? So people go to Google. Then Microsoft say, you know, actually, as is better. And then Google's going to turn around and tighten the rules and so on and so on and so on until we've got this extremely tight email compliant landscape in a year or two where you can't send anyone any emails because no inbox allows anything. And that is exactly the point. It's like, you know, when you think about that sort of competitive element, aggression is better, isn't it? For me as an inbox owner, aggression is better, because don't forget, they bounce things they don't let in. So it's not like there is no notification. You know, the sender gets a bounce. So let's imagine this is your doctor sending you an email, and they've somehow they send an email. They'll be getting bounces back saying, "Oh my God, I've got a problem. My messages aren't getting through." So it's not like that aggression isn't, you know, it's, you know, they've got an obligation to deliver these things. No, they've got an obligation to either, you know, accept and deliver or reject. That's their only obligation. So I like that.
Actually get the bounce, or will it just go into the neverland that never to be seen again, and you don't know if it's actually delivered to them?
Yeah, the block list is a hard get the hell out. You're on a block list. You're not included anymore. Whereas actually you could argue that, you know, and this is to your point, Harry, you know, what if you're sending 3,000 a day, staying neatly underneath the radar, but you've got all the bad practices? You're just in the spam folder where there is no bounce. And you know what? The spam folder is more deadly than that. It's a silent killer, and it's like a cancer over time, where my things just over the years become worse. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the less you get, the less you get to prove yourself, and therefore you don't get to get out of the spam. It's hard to get out of it.
That's why I think this is the biggest issue that's facing at least SME recruiters for a long time. I think it's bigger than GDPR. GDPR, at least you get a chance to rectify it. You know, there's some big body out there that's moderating this and getting people to fix things if there's a problem. This is just that, like you just said, Adam. You won't necessarily even know, because it just one day just won't be working for you.
And the other part about GDPR, Christy, is that GDPR is, if you're a big fish, GDPR is something to think about. But if you're a small business, then you could probably get away with not hitting GDPR a couple of times. But with this, there's no escaping. Google's not looking at some people, ignoring some people. They look at the whole landscape as one sort of coherent thing. So there's this impacts across the board, and there's no sort of we can get away with it for a bit sort of thing. It's like there's no escaping it.
Yeah, and I think I want to be really clear to everybody in the chat. The 5,000 number, forget it. Just forget it was ever even said. And don't think, well, I'm under that, therefore it's all fine, or I don't use automation, therefore I'm fine. None of that is true. None of it is true, because do you know what? Christmas comes around. You want to send a nice email to all your candidates. There's 6,000 of them, and on one particular day you reach that, and you go. And then, okay. But the point is, you will have been in the spam folder anyway. If you're just ignoring it, you know, your head's below the parapet. I'm not really paying attention to this. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. You know, the whole channel's sort of slowly switching off to you is the point. You know, the correct answer is, how should I be using automation to do better segmentation? To Harry's point, how should I be using email to be more explicit and concise and simplify? And how should I be using automation to figure out exactly what's happening? How well did that go? Because, you know, here's the other thing, right? So for years now, marketers have been lied to about our email stats. So you send out an email and you get a 30% open rate. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's just reflective of your share of Apple users. That's all it is. So we know by that MPP, which is the iOS 15 mail protection privacy protocol thing, whenever we send an email to an inbox connected to with an iPhone, Apple will open that email for you. So it's a lie. So your open rate is a lie. Now, it's still very useful from an email deliverability point of view, but from a campaign success point of view, you cannot use email opens, email clicks as any sort of performance metric. Instead, you need to be looking at that email. I was asking you to come to the pub, right? Well, I'm sat here on my own with nobody at the pub, but I got a 60% open rate. It doesn't matter. I need to be focused entirely on how many people are sat with me at the pub. That's it. And then I can sort of work back to see if I can apply some sort of normality through my varying campaigns. There's one more quick thing actually that I want to just quickly talk about is very quickly is there has been some industry research recently around who to talk to, when to talk to them, etc. And there is a statistic that's really important, I think, that people should know, and that is 14 days, 6 touches. Right. Now, what that means is a candidate comes to you, fills in, goes to your website, applies for, or just puts the name in, as a join our mailing list, whatever it might be. At that point, whatever it is, whatever reason you've given somebody to engage with you, you have 14 days to enact 6 touches. And that is the industry standard best practice. So this isn't on your schedule. It's Wednesday, therefore I'll send an email. It's Tuesday, therefore I'll send an email. This is on their schedule. So Harry comes along to my website. He says, yeah, I'll join the mailing list, or I'll sign up for alerts on here. You have 14 days, 6 touches to harness that attention, to get best practice, what that user, get the most insight and goodwill from that user. So in that time, open rates are going to be escalated, click rates are going to be escalated, conversion rates are going to be escalated. Outside of that time, it's not saying it's dead, it's just saying it's less. So it's really important that we sort of, and obviously that's automation, isn't it?
So a good friend of mine, Paul, I'm going to call him out. He's just put a comment on here saying 50% of recruiters, if not more, are taught to spec email from day one. Spam folder central. So that's just it. I heard a story recently on one of the chats I'm in of there's a recruitment business that the MD is actually downloading the CSV files of email addresses from the CRM and handing out 5,000 per recruiter. And they're actually being tasked with the volume and the frequency that it's going out to this. And what you're saying there, Adam, the 30% or this percent, that percent, that's fine when it's a centralized marketing email that you can, check the stats and you're reporting on this, but you're not reporting on the Outlook emails, nor do you have the visibility like you do a centralized email. So how do you even know? How do you even know what you're achieving from it?
Well, I mean, you've got the behind the curtains, tools, which, what, I don't expect anybody on this call to actually use or want to use. This is where, if I was to say to you, how many businesses on here have at some point in the last 12 months engaged with an SEO consultant, there might be 30% of the people that would say, yeah, we've used an SEO consultant, get us up the search engine rankings, help us out a little bit. If I said to you, okay, how many of you out here have engaged with an email deliverability consultant? I bet none. Not even one. Please, if there is one, tell me about it. But you know what? It's the same companies, and the challenge is the same. So Google, we've heard of them before. They do search engines, right? And so most of the time that you got an SEO guy working on a search engine, there it is. So what those guys in our team have got, so we've got deliverability consultants. That's part of what we employ. We send the 3rd largest number of emails from any UK sender. My point was, our guys have got tools, right? And those tools are, behind the curtains tools that can look at everything that's going on at a domain level and see what Microsoft thinks about you, see what Google thinks about you, see what the other domain providers, Yahoo, etc., think about you. Although mostly Google and Microsoft is all we care about. But I wouldn't expect Harry or Christy or anybody on here because it's the geekiest thing ever. And actually, it's better to pay people to look after things like that. And your time's better served in writing great content, being great marketeers, and building really convincing reasons to come and join me in the pub.
Brilliant. You know, we're getting lots of questions on here. I think we're going to move past the 5,000 for now. Let's actually talk about what they should be doing. So let's just say desk level. So park the marketing emails for a second. Desk level, what should either a consultant be doing as their day-to-day, or should that sales leader or managing director leader to create that culture of being better at what we're doing?
So I think on this one, I think this is a really important part where sort of marketing gets introduced as quite a large part of the solution. If we think about sales and consultants, we think, okay, well, we need to bring on some new clients. We'll go to the database and we'll just bang out a load of emails. I think if you feed marketing into that mix and you say, okay, well, marketing has been engaged in the database ongoing for the last 12 months. We can see the lead score in the CRM. We can see what pages they've been visiting. If you throw that into that mix of, let's go to the CRM and see which one of our clients has a lead score above X, see which one of our clients have been on the website in the last 3 months. And that, I think that's really where it's going to head, to a point where on a desk level, they're going to have to be really working on that hyper segmentation stuff. And marketing plays a big part in that. And the tech especially plays a big part in that. Without the right tech in place, none of that's possible. So yeah, that's what I think about where it's heading. Yeah.
What about the culture? The culture from that sales leader, like as Paul shared there. You know, day one, recruiters are typically sat down and they say, okay, this is, go forth. You know, here's our CRM. Here's our business. You know, go make some sales. You know, that there's not necessarily. I'd like to say I've never seen. I think in my old corporate days, I think we had, you know, maybe a session on email that the marketing team delivered, but it's cultural. You know, it really feels to me that needs to come from you know, that top down, and that sales culture, and the leadership that are enforcing and rewarding best practice.
Yeah,
well,
I think sorry, Adam, go on.
No, you go for it. You go.
I think a part of that is, I mean, we've already spoke about the KPIs that sort of sales teams are put against. It's X amount of sales, which is right to say, but by what means it's not measured. And then the other one is the quota of emails. I think if you're the quality of your consultants' delivery as well as their results, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. And there's another part I was going to say, but and then the other part as well is actually how marketing is sort of seen within that sort of consultant sales remit. It's not just the colouring in department. And if you look at the marketing, a lot of the best practices for email already exist, and you'll probably already exist in your marketing team. So bringing them more into the fold, letting them have more say on how you deliver emails, letting them have more say on how the segmentation is done. I think that's a really, really key bit, is that
it's leading with them
relationship between sales and marketing.
Yeah,
I think it goes deeper.
I was going to say, and marketers can be advisors to them. You know, it's about time that, you know, going back to the coloring in department, you know, the marketers, this isn't that new. You know, what we're talking about here. Yes, maybe some of the considerations, 0.3%, etc., but it's not new for how marketers should be approaching email. So bring them in. You know, I think they need to have that stakeholder as their sponsor, you know, that sales leader who's bringing that culture along, but, you know, use the marketer to be part of that vehicle that's enacting the change.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen this for too long now, that there is this divide, and as you say, you both mentioned the colouring in department, and that speaks to an issue. So why do we need a marketing department if sales guys, consultants can just go away and do why do we need it? What's the point? We don't need it. But then
we've had this conversation very recently, haven't we, Christy?
It's like, every day we have it in one
There's a simple answer, and the simple answer is, yeah, you don't need it if that's what you're doing. You don't need it, but it will go down. It will get worse, and it will. Now, here's the other thing. When you think about consultant attraction, and you are looking to get the best talent within your business supporting you, one of the things that you lean on is having a brand that people care about, right? And so how do you create a brand? Well, a brand comes from marketing, right? And how do I communicate that brand to my consultants, not to my consultants, my candidates, my clients, the lot comes from marketing, right? So let's just have a think. Well, we definitely need that. But we need that. So wouldn't it be better if we just empowered those guys? So for me, there is a really simple answer here. CRM, recruitment ATSs, they are there for consultants to collect data. Simple. Once we collect data, the more data we can collect, the more powerful my marketing team can be with segmentation, with personalization, and the more relevant they can be. Now, that is then as it comes back round to the consultant attraction. Imagine you've got a brand that everybody knows because we are brilliant at conveying it across social media, paid the lot. But moreover that is when I invite you in as a consultant, I'm going to give you a warm desk. So there's none of this sitting down at CRM from day one. Oh my God, who am I going to talk to? No, you just watch. You've got these guys and just watch. They're coming in every day. So the consultants are like, well, not only am I working for a great brand, but this agency has invested in infrastructure that is going to make me more successful. Amazing.
We're getting into a kind of a different territory with this, but you are so right, Adam. And if we rewind to 2022 and the great kind of vying for the recruitment talent, the actual consultant talent itself. You talk to any of the rec-to-rec recruiters out there, they're always saying, you got to give me something. You can't say, oh, we're the best of this, we're the biggest at that. Oh, check out our team pictures in Ibiza. Aren't we amazing? Yeah. And I think today's consultants are savvier than that. I think there's more to when people are joining an organization, there's so much more than, oh, do they party together? And they're looking at things like this. How is the business going to make them successful in what they do, which obviously is win-win for everyone. It's win for the business and it's win for the pocketbooks of the consultants who are doing it. And excellent collating it with what we're talking about here.
Getting back on topics, I've seen a few questions that are sort of centered in around the reason we are actually here today, which is the Yahoo update. But again, it's just sort of, for me, going back to that sentiment a moment ago, which is forget the 5,000 number. That doesn't matter. Focus on complaints and authentication, and that's what matters. And if you're not able to monitor and control that, then we're in trouble. And just to be clear, that the change is relatively new, granted, but email deliverability as a challenge is the same as it always has been. So I've just seen one where, does unsubscribe rate impact future deliverability? Yeah, always has. But here's the interesting thing about unsubscribe rates. It's classed as engagement. So you know what? If I send an email and I give people a really clear, really easy way to unsubscribe, and they click that email and they go on the unsubscribe and I never email them again, that's really good. It's bad in the fact that you're losing great candidates or great clients, but it's really good from an email point of view. Now, if I continue to email them, then that's not so good. So you question the unsubscribe rate. Is that the thing? Not really, but it kind of does say something a little bit about your content and what you're saying to people and the clarity, etc. And subscribe rates do tend to mirror complaint rates. So you might find that if you're getting a high unsubscribe rate and you're probably getting a high complaint rate, so you might be in the danger zone. But again, for me, it's about focusing on doing great marketing. I want people to understand my brand, come to the pub with me because they want to come to the pub. And
can you just, between those two things, complaint rate versus unsubscribe rate, let's just dial it down. What's the difference?
So an unsubscribe is just me simply clicking the unsubscribe button, which is easy, no big deal. Have you got your? There you go. I think Harry, that's your construction guy.
I think it might be because no, it's not that. I'll close off the LinkedIn regardless. I think it might be that.
So an unsubscribe rate is where I physically click unsubscribe, which is really easy. A spam complaint is where I physically complain about an email. Now, some browsers make that too easy, so I can click a button that says complain about this email within the actual browser itself. If you got to forgive me, I'm a little bit rusty on exactly which ones, but then the other thing is those that physically mark it as spam. Now that is an activity, but it's not necessarily the same as me complaining about spam. So there's me denoting intent, relegate this to my spam folder, and then there's me physically complaining to the outside world, and it's those complaints that are the challenge. So I'm reaching out, I'm saying that is spam, and it's being treated as such.
There's an interesting relationship between unsubscribes and spam rates, and I think I say this a lot. There's a lot of people think, okay, well, if I put the unsubscribe button in size 8 font, I put it in the footer, no one's ever going to unsubscribe from my list, and it's all going to be great. But if you don't have a clear unsubscribe process, it's not easy to use. The default is, okay, well, I can't unsubscribe, so I'm going to mark it as spam. And that, I think, that is a much more damaging signal from the inbox than the unsubscribe. So I think that this new rule about the one-click unsubscribe and all this and the spam rate stuff, they play together really nicely, I think.
Yeah.
Harry, you had an example about being too obvious with the unsubscribe, and maybe I think you were referencing is that somebody had been putting it at the top as well as at the bottom.
I've seen.
What's your opinion on that?
I've seen an example of someone putting it right at the very top of the email, and it was you open the email, it's the very first thing you see, and every email is, do you want to unsubscribe from this list? And I think that's a bit too extreme. I think people expect, it's quite expected that it's in the footer, and it's quite, you go to the bottom of the email, it's there. And actually interested on that point is that if you go onto Gmail, for a lot of senders now, Gmail put its own unsubscribe button in the top of the email anyway. So yeah, I think that leads on to a really nice point, is actually these rules. I think there's a risk that a lot of senders are going to start looking for black hat tactics to continue sending over the next sort of 5 or 6 months, 12 months, when, I mean, that might get you through a couple of weeks, but yeah, I think those black hat tactics aren't really going to work.
Adam actually ahead of the call, he was saying that, a lot of people are asking them, saying, what's the hack on this? What's the hack to get around on this? And we heard of one quite recently that recruitment agency had set up separate email domains for every single one of their consultants in order to, it doesn't hurt the wider domain.
Yeah, that was their solution. Yeah, so there was some forum, and they were talking. So why our solutions? We're going to give every consultant their own email domain, which is it might get you through like a week or two, but then after a week or two, you're going to be back to square one again. So I don't know how many variations of a domain there are, but I'm sure they're very quickly going to find all of them.
Yeah, the other thing to note is that unless you're resolving to a different website for every single consultant, that would very quickly start to filter up to the top level domain anyway. So it's a bit pointless. The reality of it is, I think, why I keep saying forget the number, it's the fact that if you're worried about hitting this limit, you're already in the spam folder. You're already not getting what you need to get out of email. And I think what I'm finding is certainly a lot of people in the sector are just accepting of these low numbers. They're accepting of the fact that, I'll send out 100,000 emails to get 2 candidates placed. Oh, okay. That's not okay, guys. That's too much. Wouldn't it be great if I sent out 15 emails to get 2 candidates placed?
It's deemed as a success. If there aren't repercussions, and maybe this is why we're in the place that we're in today, when there's not repercussions, the signal that sends to that individual consultant is, wow, I just got 2 job orders off of this. Boom, I'm going to just keep doing this. 2 out of 100,000 or whatever number you want to put there is not good when the other 90,000 are reporting you as spam or as a complaint. So,
or just ignoring you, which is almost as bad.
Potentially, yes. So what should they be doing? Like, let's talk practically speaking. If you were talking to a recruitment leader or sales leader right now, what would you be advising them on what they need to do to get this message out across the business?
Well, my personal opinion is that we've got to regain control of our email volume, and where the consultants are using desk-based automation or email, really aggressively limit the volume per day to make them really think about that. I'm talking 50 to 100 a day. That's it. And now that might add up if you've got 20 consultants, but still, that's kind of where I'd want it to be. The other thing that I would say is that it's then all about data. Now, any brand that can sit there and say, I love my data, I understand it, I get it. When customers come to us and they say, yeah, we're a recruitment business, we've got 3 consultants plus a couple of other guys, whatever it is. So there's 6 or 7 of us. Yeah, but we've got 100,000 candidate records. It's like, whoa, okay. How where from? Oh no, we've been going for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And the point is, we there reach a point where these become toxic assets, and it's more powerful to liberate yourselves and focus in on those new candidates, those new clients that we're talking to. That's more effective. So as a 3-man agency or a 10-man agent, whatever it may be, getting an appropriate number is key. It's not so you have to delete them. It's just because, you spoke to that guy 3 years ago. Let him come back round. So really focus on your marketing department to get paid working, to get social media working, to get your brand messaging working, to get people into the website or into data capture funnels, LinkedIn forms, Facebook forms, whatever it may be. Get that data in, and then if you've already got the guy, great. But then it's kick into gear with this 6 touches, 14 days. Somebody did actually put, it's a LinkedIn user, so I don't know who that is, but a LinkedIn user says, what research was that? And I'm not going to tell you because it was a competitor of ours, a big American competitor with a name that begins with "her" and ends in "t." But I don't like to talk about them, so I'm not going to. But anyway, the point that I'm making is really clear. It's get marketing working. That's my advice. Segmentation, data, use all the channels that's in your, and then really work on quality contacts.
Yeah. And I guess that getting that message down, it's putting the processes together to be able to then filter that down through the business and get everybody on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? It's one of those things, right? It's really hard to say, everybody get behind marketing, because they'll be like, no, I can't be bothered. I've got a job to do. And I'm busy placing candidates. So, what are you going to do? And the reality of it is that way round doesn't work. Instead, marketing have to mount a silent assassination, where we are going to really focus in on that quality data that we can confidently say, Harry, this is you today. Not you of 5 years ago. So we're just filling. No, really confident. And it might only be 50 candidates or 1,000 or whatever it is. And really tighten up on those 1,000. So it is beautiful. Start delivering quality into those guys. And then all of a sudden, your biggest critics become your biggest allies. Because the first one that gets an absolute bluebird in is going to be like, holy crap, can I get more of that? Yeah, you can. Here's what I need you to do.
We've been doing marketing automation since our inception at Thrive. It's 5.5 years we've been doing it. And it goes back to, it's a client, quite a few years ago. And the sales leadership, it wasn't about these rules that are coming in. It was just about getting the consultants on board. And they had a sales leader, and the leads were coming in, and we were doing lead scoring, and all these were coming in. The sales leader never really did much with it. And then he was moved in a different part of the business, got a new sales leader in, and that sales leader, put the processes in place and got the excitement, and I think probably even had some wins himself that he could then, like you just said, evidence to everyone else. And it got to the point, it was a great testimonial. It says, something's working when all the consultants are shotgunning the leads.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to try to achieve. The end goal is, with everything, it shouldn't be spray and pray. It shouldn't be, just sending things out to the ether and hopefully something will stick. And obviously I'm going to be on marketing side, but as you said, marketing doesn't necessarily have to be there. You just may be able to do it better and faster and have more focused and dedicated resource to making these improvements. But when they work together, the whole aim is to get consultants back to doing what they do best. Working the job, networking, speaking with people and making more placements.
I totally agree. And let me give you a tip, right? And here's my tip for that. As a marketeer, hand deliver the leads to the consultant. Don't email it. Don't Slack it. Print it out. Walk over to that part of the office. And that, because why? Because I don't want you to escalate 500, 1,000, because that just burns the goodwill of the consultants at this stage. Maybe later. But if I've gone, oh my goodness me, look at this guy. His lead score is up there. His activity and his engagement is right up there. He is going to be perfect for John, who I know is trying to place somebody in that role right now. So I'm going to print it out and I'm going to John, check this guy out. Ring him up. See what happens here. Right. Now that gives that level of credibility. And it also gives you as a marketeer that need to say, I need to invest in them. So it's not just a one-way street. Oh, give me data, give me good data, give me. No, you've got to invest in them. And so that process of you getting up, showing that love and delivering that lead there is just like the very beginning of that process of love and showing that I care enough to come over there and give you one, not 51. I found him. So please do it. And then let's see if we can reduce the amount of spam.
There's two comments that have just come through, but about getting that owner and CEO buy-in. And I think, maybe it isn't the owner, maybe there is a sales leader. I think there needs to be some kind of senior sponsor on this, speaking from a marketer's point of view. But the other thing is also, when you're trying to find those case studies of, getting those inklings of success so everybody buys in, don't go to your top performer. Don't go to the top biller, because that top biller probably has 20 years of experience and a big network, and they've already put in the heavy lifting. Find those influencers in your business who are going to take it on and who are going to find success from it, because maybe they aren't the big billers. They're maybe that kind of like nice steady middle group. If they do have a few conversions off of this, meaning if they make some placements off of this, that's how that kind of influencing mentality then kind of spills out across the business.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
We don't have much time left. Effectively, where did 53 minutes go? I'm going to just leave one last thing. Could this actually be a good thing? Where is this going to bring us as an industry, as a wider marketing and or sales and operations function? What do you guys think?
So I think
you go first.
Actually, I think Google and Yahoo have given a bit of an opportunity to the businesses that are already getting this right. So if you're a recruitment agency who already has the best practice, they've already got the tech, they've got the great CRM, the great data, come February 1st, you're going to find that those that aren't getting it right, they're scared. They're going to stop sending emails, marketing emails. They're going to slow their sending down. So all of a sudden, you, who've been doing a great job for so many time, you're going to be the lead-in, or maybe the only message in that candidate's inbox or that client's inbox. So it's a really great opportunity if you get it right now, and you're going to come out on top. Especially, it's a great thing going early on to the year. So it's a great opportunity to get ahead really quickly this year. I think it's that's where it becomes an opportunity. It's not this problem needs solving. It's okay. How can we work this to our advantage? And that's where it's going to be now.
Not how do we hack it? How can we be better and win from it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, what else do you have to add to that?
I think Harry's articulated that beautifully. It's invest in the challenge, and if you're going to invest in the challenge and your competitors aren't, then you're going to have the priority. You've got the pickings, and obviously I would say come and have a chat to Force 24. We have email deliverability consultants. We have an amazing piece of tech that empowers marketeers to manage this kind of thing right from the off. But invest in the challenge, and you can win. So well said, Harry.
Brilliant. Well, everyone, I'm sure this is not going away. We are a couple days away from the 1st of February, but it's not something, it isn't ongoing. It's an ongoing on how you're setting up your marketing, your operations functions in the business, and how you keep working towards this. So the chat will stay open on the LinkedIn Live. So if there are further questions, please drop them in there. You could drop myself a line, and I'm sure Adam and Harry would say the same. So let's keep the dialogue going, and good luck. And I think we'll see some enhancements in recruitment marketing and the wider industry. So let's do it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Harry.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Amazing.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.